everybody, and welcome to Responsible AI in Action with the Responsible AI Institute. I am very excited today. We are talking with Ramsay Brown, a leading expert in responsible AI. Ramsay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Patrick. It's a joy and an honor to be here.
It's been wonderful since my time at the Institute, getting the opportunity to learn more about you and about your work. Obviously, Mission Control is a member of the Ray Institute, and it's been so great to observe your leadership and how you are really pioneering responsible AI work in our industry. We've seen a huge boom in this field, and with that said, it's still very much in its infancy. And so it's been encouraging to see people like yourself and others come together and figure out solutions for the best way forward for this. Of course, you are the CEO and founder of Mission Control. So I'm wondering if you could share with our viewers, what is the work that Mission Control does?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Patrick, and appreciate the kind words. So Mission Control is a software company. We build the orchestration, enablement, and security layer technology for generative AI success in the enterprise and defense space. What we've come to find is that when you speak with teams at enterprise scale in both the commercial and defense sector, they're fundamentally missing a few things that lock them out of AI success. They're missing the orchestration technology to move beyond simple discourse with a large language model and how to properly place that into a business unit context. They're missing the necessary end user enablement of specific daily use cases that would help a knowledge worker who perhaps is not deeply technical or a programmer or a data scientist actually get day-to-day practical value out of working alongside a language model like a colleague, as opposed to just an embedded tool. These organizations are missing the necessary LLM operational security guardrails and trustworthy AI infrastructure that allows them to build confidence in this operation. And all of this is wrapped around by they're missing basic literacy. While a lot of teams have started investing in AI and generative AI technologies over 2023 and 2024, the practical reality is that when you go talk to those senior leadership teams, they will admit that not only does their senior leadership level not really understand what's going on or how it works or how to do so in a manner that would be aligned with what we consider some of the basic requirements of trustworthy AI or good AI governance, but their staff and their knowledge workers are just as in the dark as well. So Mission Control delivers that AI literacy training. We do that in the commercial and defense sectors, and our core platform technology for orchestration, enablement, and security, again, into the commercial and defense sectors.
Yeah, you really are filling an important need that's happening, especially as AI continues to evolve and advance. And thankfully, there's organizations like Mission Control that are allowing organizations to develop an understanding of exactly what's happening and what's going on. And, of course, alongside that, we've also had the White House Office of Management and Budget releasing its first government-wide policy on managing AI risks. So we have these organizations like Mission Control who are really stepping up and helping the business sector and a wide variety of different type of industries with this. And then we also have the government coming in and trying to figure out, okay, how can we put measures in place to make sure that AI is developed in a safe way? So with this recent news, I'm wondering how you believe the government can help be effective in mitigating the risks alongside organizations like Mission Control.
So we view the OMB memorandum and Executive Order 14110 that it comes out of as a bit of a starting gun, so to speak. And we borrow this nomenclature from our friend and colleague, Jeff Schaefer over at Booz Allen, that what this really marks is the beginning of the US government's ability to meaningfully procure AI technologies. I think a thing that's important to remember is that the ratio of people and business units, and this includes the federal sector, which is a federal business unit, a working group inside an organization or an agency or a department. The ratio of teams that are going to be going through the data science lifecycle on their own, from understanding the problems they're trying to solve with data, finding data that they have access to, running an exploratory data analysis process on that, running data engineering, undergoing model fitting, testing and evaluating the models that they've developed internally against responsible AI compliance requirements, moving those into production and monitoring them for continuous performance evaluation. The number of teams that are going to go through that versus the number of teams that are going to use off-the-shelf, pre-trained, pre-configured AI-enabled technologies or AI models themselves is that the procurers are going to outnumber the data science practitioner teams 10,000 to 1. The current state of play with generative AI is such that the breadth of use case, the consistency of operation, not perfect operation, but consistent enough for business utility, and the price point are all extremely favorable for procuring compared to where we were even 2 years ago with having to go through this life cycle on your own. One of the most important things I think that the responsible AI community, through a combination of academic partners, organizations like Ray, organizations like Mission Control, can come to understand in working with the federal customer is that the use case and procurement pipeline is likely to drastically outweigh the starting from scratch data science pipeline because of these fundamental barriers to going through the data science lifecycle. Need for practitioners who are extremely skilled and willing to do so on a GS15 or GS16 like cost schedule, which means right off the top, I don't think this is a shock to anyone. The best and brightest data scientists tend to go to places that they can command a $400,000 to $800,000 a year salary, and they end up in Silicon Valley. The federal government has a very hard time finding extremely talented people who are going to take up to, a 90% pay cut versus what they could get in the private sector. The challenges of moving through the data science life cycle in terms of working with legacy data systems, the just internal inertia of what it means to go through the cycle that is hard no matter where you go, and then doing all of this fast enough that it makes a difference, as opposed to finding tools that have already been pre-trained, pre-built, pre-configured, and using those. When we recognize that that's the focus, and that's where most of the work's going to get done, this changes from Ray's perspective. What is an impact assessment? From Mission Control's perspective, what is enablement? What is orchestration? What is security? And how do we make these technologies, processes, governance policies geared towards that world where we know that's where the problem's actually going to lie? The problems is going to lie less in what we thought this problem was shaped like 2 years ago, and more like this is about securing technologies that have already been built and now are getting applied. Mind you, this comes at the same time that the OMB's memorandum insists that these organizations and agencies each also build out libraries of use cases of specific ways they're going to use AI, and especially generative AI. And as the responsible AI side of the house, when we look at that and say, what role does responsible AI play in those worlds? It's been our opinion that the most effective, both in terms of cost and in terms of end impact, way to be able to deliver responsible AI value into that value chain is cooking it in at an infrastructural level where you are able to have technological processes, monitoring technological processes, of course, with human observation and validation as a part of how they think about building use cases from the get-go. And in doing so, we find that the effort becomes less about, can I train a new batch of hard to find, sort of not existent federal data scientists into how to think about going through the data science lifecycle according to responsible AI practices, this becomes less like that conversation and more like, can we help teams identify the use cases and the combination of tools that enable their use cases where responsible and trustworthy AI technologies are already baked in to the infrastructure and the tools themselves, such that, yes, we're educating, yes, we're driving literacy for folks about how to think about these problems and why these things matter, but we're also reducing the total number of steps they have to take to go from we're at a point of high risk to we're at a point of low risk. Because if you cook the safety into the tools, the infrastructure itself, you reduce the cognitive load and the change management load that an organization's going to need to go through to go from a high risk to low risk state. So I think those are our big focuses right now. Aim at procurement, not just the data science lifecycle, and really try to understand how you can deploy use cases that already have responsible AI practices, controls, and principles cooked into the technology and tools themselves to make this easier on the federal customer.
It's incredible to see just how quickly things are evolving and why it's so important to put these measures into place to make sure that we are doing things responsibly and having this cooked into the foundation and into the framework moving forward. Ramsay, I feel like I could keep on talking to you, but we'll close it out for today. I can't thank you
Sure.
enough for taking the time to join us on the show. And I really just appreciate your work and what you're doing. I feel like just from this conversation, I learned so much. And it's important that we have leaders like yourself who are really boots on the ground making this work happen. And so I can't thank you enough. Before we part ways, I'm wondering if you could just share with our listeners where they could find out more information about you and Mission Control and all the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thanks. And appreciate it. This has been a ton of fun today. For anyone who's interested in learning more about AI literacy trainings for their organization, orchestration enablement, and LLM ops on-prem security technology, they can learn more at usemissioncontrol.com. And I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure to include those resources in our show description. So listeners out there, all you have to do is scroll down, click those various links provided. Ramsay, thanks so much again.
You're welcome. Thanks, Patrick. It's been a great time.